listen to any part of this. So welcome everyone. If you're expecting to be here for part of the NAWBO San Francisco Bay Area member meeting, you're in the right place. And today we have our guest speaker is a member, Dana Brewer, and we're going to talk about technology. And she makes it seem fun when a topic like IT can feel a little flat at times. So just to give you a little bit to help, as we said, kind of root in this time we have together over the next hour, these meetings, we're shooting for them to happen every third Thursday of the month from 12 to 1. They're all virtual. They're meant to be a dynamic kind of online experience geared for women business owners, ideally with guests as existing members, so we can kind of help lift you and promote you while you generously share your wisdom, so much so that people want more of you. And topics that we would cover are noted here, anywhere from business management. Today we have IT to negotiating, networking, and all the other things that as a business owner, we don't necessarily spend enough time on. So that is really the spirit of these meetings. And then to move us along, we're going to welcome Tamara as our new member. And a lot of folks I know here, and Michaela, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing your name right. I know you are a NAWBO member, so welcome to you as well. And then we'll do a quick icebreaker to help you create some connections. And even if you might know someone, we'll focus on a particular question that will help you get to know them a little bit better. And then we'll have Dana take the stage, and then we'll wrap up and with some optional time of either networking, where we'll either continue the Q&A, maybe you're just feeling it was so good you want more, or pick up where we left off on creating these connections, or just make a plug for some event or resource that you might know of that you feel like could benefit the group. So welcome, Tamara, again. Just maybe introduce yourself quickly and give us sort of a short one-liner of what you do and what you're about. Tamara, are you okay with that, or you want to?
I'm sorry, I ran to my stove to turn off the oven real quick because it was starting to burn. So I totally missed everything you said. I apologize.
Oh my gosh, I was just going to give you a time to introduce yourself as a new member.
So funny. I apologize. Yes, my name is Tamara Blankenship, as it says down below. I actually do a lot of personal development and neurotherapy. So I work on helping regulate the brain for optimal performance. So I work on things like PTSD, anxiety, depression, focus and concentration, sleep challenges, and all kinds of areas of brain issues, mind melt, all that kind of stuff that go on. So that's basically what I focus on. I'm super excited to be here and learn about what everyone else is doing as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let me see how we're doing on time. Maybe we can come back to the end and do a quick little intro, just because I want to allow for that, but I don't want to dip into Dana's time. So welcome again, Tamara. So happy you're here. And for our icebreaker, I'm going to ask this question here, and we're going to go into breakout rooms, and we'll spend roughly 5-6 minutes where you can share, and then we'll come back, and in the chat you can maybe just drop a short thing in there so we can all kind of hear what you covered in the breakout room. But the question is, what place or time do you wish you could return to as a business owner? And in the conversation, maybe you reflect on like what was, magical about that time, or what would you change if you could go back, or what would you try to bring forward, whatever direction you feel called to do. And then I'm going to fire up the breakout rooms. Let's see. It was so easy here a moment ago. Oh, Okay, let's see. All right, here we go. Join in, and I will see you in about 6 minutes.
Awesome.
Oh, let's see. Oh, we have somebody all alone. I'm moving you.
The fun part, directing this.
I
To
know.
do that job. And I'm like going, oh my gosh, I totally can relate.
Okay. Okay, here we go.
Fun.
Hey Siri, set a timer for 5 minutes. Okay, are we back?
I think so. At least I am.
Okay, I don't see, oh, there's everybody. Oh, wonderful. Um, how was that?
A lot
Good.
of fun. That was really cool. I loved it.
Awesome. So while I introduce you to Dana, if you feel inspired to drop in the chat, just real short, what that was, so we can, those that weren't in your breakout room can kind of dip into what you covered and shared as that place or time that you wish you could return to as a business owner. But meanwhile, meet Dana. Not only is she the founder and CEO of Computer Information Station, or CIS, she's just an amazing being. So her company is focused on IT consulting and helping small businesses grow. And I kind of feel like she's a unicorn because she was born and raised here in California. And they seem like rare as being a transplant myself. And she just really radiates honesty and truth. And that's why her clients depend on her. They trust her. And even when she's delivering the news they may not be wanting to hear, there's a ton of respect there. And so not only does she help, her passion or mission, I should say, is to help businesses use technology appropriately to cut costs and become more productive and efficient. And not outside of IT, she loves everything outdoors. And what I found super interesting about her, she loves roller skating. Like, I love that you're bringing that back. So everybody meet Dana. I'm going to stop sharing and allow you, Dana, to take over.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much, Erica. That was great, a great introduction. I hope that I can live up to that. Very happy to see everyone here today and just really excited to be able to share with you, like Erica said, my passion. So I do have some slides prepared. This is something that we want to do for NAWBO. We want to share what we know with our fellow women business owners. We want to get to know each other a little bit better and see how we can support each other. So my disclaimer is going to be that I am a geek. This is technology, so I can't help it. Sometimes I get really zoned in on the technology. So if your eyes start to roll in your head, just say, okay, help, time. And also, I want to make this interactive and fun. Now, the difficult part will be is that I've got a couple of different screens. I'm going to be working my slide presentation. So if I'm looking off screen or something like that, please forgive. It's just I'm trying to keep everything together. So I'm going to go ahead and get my share going. And once that happens, it will be a little difficult to see some of the screen. So I'm just going to ask Erica, you or Suzanne, if there's something happening that I can't see, someone's trying to get my attention or whatever, just blurt it out, please, and just help me out there. I'd really appreciate it. Okay, so I am going to share my screen. Let me know if you can see it. Okay, I got some head nods going on there. Okay. Oh, and the other thing I forgot to say is that if anything doesn't sound right or you just hate it, save the tomato throwing for after I'm done, okay? Because if I get tomato juice in my eyes, I don't know if I'm going to be able to complete this thing, okay? So, all right. So the idea here is to share some thoughts about some common mistakes that business owners, particularly small business owners, make, but also to talk about some, I would say, hidden gifts that as women we have that we can use to our benefit. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And so here are the goals. If we can get this out of today's presentation, why technology really is key for your business. What are some of the challenges that we face? And then how to take the next steps. And really my goal is going to be to focus on that how. And I will also say, Erica, as well, if you could just help with timekeeping since I'm running the slides, just keep me on time, okay? I'd appreciate it. I don't mind at all. Okay, excellent. So why is technology queen? We're not going to call technology king because we are women. So why is technology queen in business? Well, just think about it. A lot of people like to say, well, my business is not really online. I'm really brick and mortar. But then the question is, And how do you spend your money? How do you receive your money? You're depositing it in a bank. You might still be writing a check, but chances are your customers are paying you perhaps with a credit card or with some other electronic form of payment, Zelle, those types of things. You use email. You might have an online system or portal that you're logging into. So no matter what your line of business, your business is a technology business because you are connected to the internet, and really there is no getting away from it and no going back unless you're a cash only brick and mortar business and you don't touch the internet at all. So needless to say, the majority of us should consider ourselves as a technology business. But I have a little icebreaker for us out there. I'd like to ask this question. Anyone who feels so inclined, please come off mute and just share. How often do you use technology in your business? You can either share verbally or you can throw something in the chat. If you use it daily, go ahead and throw a daily in the chat, or you can speak up. If you use it weekly, share that. And then also, if you use it all the time, you could let us know that as well. So anyone who'd like to share. Do, 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 do.
Right? All the
Okay.
time.
Very good. All the time. And how do you use technology? What do you use, Tamara, if you don't mind sharing?
Absolutely. I'm on Zoom probably about 80% of my day. Email, all kinds of, cash systems to collect revenue. Gosh, I'm on it all day long. I can't, it's just what it is.
So thank you for sharing that. So that's why we definitely want to know, how can we maximize its use? You bring up something when you mentioned that you're on Zoom all day. We're on this Zoom platform. We're sharing a presentation. Some might use Teams. Some might use Google Meet. So a little bit later on, we're going to talk about kind of how to deal with all of these different apps and programs that pop out at us often. All right, so let's talk about some common tech tools. So you've got your CRMs, you've got project management software. You might have something custom for your operation, depending on what your business does. You probably are thinking more and more these days about data and how that data can help you run your business successfully. I would say probably back in the day, it was just use the computer to get the work done. And we weren't necessarily so concerned about data, but right now data is queen. Those businesses that are getting ahead are those who take a focused interest in data and bring their teams, their software in alignment so that they can get that data to make better business decisions. I know when I first started, it wasn't a consideration. It was just how much money is coming in, how much money is going out, and how can I get more money coming in, right? And then also you might have productivity software. You've got the Microsoft 365s, you've got Google Workspace, you have some who might be using some other systems. Everybody's not necessarily Microsoft or the Apple operating system, but you've got a variety of tech tools. So one of the first things that a business owner really needs to do, that I find most of us don't, is we need to analyze our needs. So I'm going to share with you some of the common mistakes that I see small business owners make. So one of the biggest ones really is ignoring cybersecurity measures. And I'll share with you what that sounds like. Well, my business is so small, nobody would be interested in my business. I'm not worried about hackers. They wouldn't try to hack my information. I don't have anything. That is a huge myth. And here's the reason why that's a myth. The smaller, there are many more small businesses than there are large businesses. And so the smaller businesses tend to skimp on technology. So you tend to have fewer controls in place. So it makes it easier for perhaps the cyber criminals to use your equipment, your technology, your network to access your system to gain access to others. So that's one that you definitely want to pay some attention to. Here's another one: not backing up the data regularly.
Hey, Dana.
Yes.
Did you have a slide that was touching on these points?
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Give me just 1 second. I don't.
Okay, no worries. Okay.
But thank you for that. And the reason why, here's my goal. I'll just share this with you, Erica. I didn't want to have a lot of slides. I also didn't want to do a ton of talking, but I could see I was getting out there and I was going to have a ton of slides. So thank you for saying that. I'll make sure I add it for the next one.
You got it.
Here's another one is, so not backing up your data regularly. The myth is I have a thumb drive or I have an external drive, so my data is safe. Think about external hardware like that, like a vehicle. So when you start your car up in the morning, you go driving, you come back at the end of the day, perhaps, you don't leave the key in the ignition and the ignition turned on and close the door and go in the house because the car needs time to rest. Technology is much the same way. So technology also wears out. So that's a myth. We're going to talk about how to resolve it. I do have slides on the resolutions, by the way. We neglect thinking about the cost for employee training, making sure that our people know how to use those technology tools properly. So we end up spending a lot of time training, retraining, training, retraining, and a lot of times it might fall to us as the business owner to get it done because maybe the team just can't. Another really problem that I see happen a lot is either going to one of two extremes, either relying solely on one technology tool for everything and not having a backup, or having too many technology tools and some of them doing the exact same thing. So you end up spinning your wheels because you've got 5 software applications that can do some level of CRM, and you're kind of cherry picking and choosing from these 5. So that's very, very important. And then one that maybe we don't think about so much, but it's keeping up with the software patches, updates, should I or shouldn't I, and how to manage that effectively. And so with that said, I'm going to go on to the next slide. Here is another tool that you probably have heard a lot of talk about, AI. Should I or shouldn't I? Well, in short, one of the benefits really of AI is that it can help you to make business decisions. It can help you to write. It can help you to do research. But AI in and of itself is not a tool that you just want to say, okay, well, my business is using AI, so we're good. A lot of businesses don't have any governance around the use of AI. And that might be fancy talk for here it is in plain English. You need to establish policies for everything in your business. We're going to get to that more in just a moment, but including the use of AI. So if you have a team, you want to make sure you have a policy around how AI is used in your company, whether or not you allow them to create an account with your business domain name, whether or not you allow them to use, for example, ChatGPT with their own email and their own business name. But I just wanted to show there some of the key software tools that are in use today. All right, so now let's talk about what those challenges are. So we kind of face an uphill battle. And what I've done is I've deduced it down to kind of the big 3. One is cost. We're concerned about money. We're small businesses. And as women, just the mere fact that we are in business and that we are still alive and thriving says a lot about our resilience, because it really isn't easy for anyone, but especially for women. We don't have access to some of the same resources, but we're coming up, we're getting there. So cost is a factor, the hardware, the software licenses. I have the third term of infrastructure upgrades, but we might not even have that. We might be an owner operator. It might just be us, right? But even if it's just you, there is some level of infrastructure. If you're using an internet service provider, they're probably charging you for the router, perhaps. So there are some costs associated with that. And one of the challenges is in identifying those costs and then adding it to the budget and not having it be a last minute decision or thought. And then the other one is skill gaps. And we talked about that a little bit, but when it comes to your technology, you are an expert in whatever your business is. Probably you might have some technology skills, but you're probably not a technology expert. So at some point you have to look at, am I going to continue to manage this myself, Or am I going to hire someone to take care of the technology, or am I going to outsource it? But either way, that's one of the challenges that we face. So those skill gaps, and then costs for training the staff. And then the final one might be the hardest, especially if you've been in business for a while and you've done it a certain way very successfully, and that is resistance to change. Because you might have to learn a new method of doing things. You might have to create some new workflows, right? So a lot may change when you decide to adopt technology to grow your business. All right. And so now, I'm sorry, I've got something in my way here. Excuse me, ladies. All right. So I just want to share with you a little bit about what your technology budget might look like. About 50% of your technology budget is going to be in hardware and software and infrastructure. So if you have a staff and you have an office, the routers, the actual boxes, the routers, the switches, the printers, the computer, the software, that's going to take about half of that budget. About 25% of that budget should go to cybersecurity. And here's what we mean by that. Not just do you have a firewall in place, but are you protecting your email domain? Do you have software that is analyzing those email messages before it hits your mailbox? And is that allowing you to mark something as spam, not just locally, like we all probably do that in Outlook, but that message is now going to be analyzed and you won't get that type of message again, right? So there's email cybersecurity, there is cybersecurity of your hardware and your equipment, but there's also your particular desktop or your particular laptop. So there's a consideration there. And then about 10% of your overall IT or technology budget goes to support. Whoever your team is, whether they're internal or external, that's a consideration. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're not anywhere near, for example, 25% spend in whatever your technology budget is, then perhaps we should have a discussion and I can help you to analyze what your risks are so we can make sure that your cybersecurity is matching that. All right. And I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking, so please forgive me. So now the path to success. So we talked about what some of those challenges were. Here is my 3-step process to make sure that no matter what you do, no matter what software you choose, no matter what system you decide to go with, how to make sure that you are successful. And you know the old saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So one of the most important things you can do, even if it's just you and you've got a desktop and you've got a laptop, but you owe it to yourself to do a thorough assessment of your technology, what you're currently using right now, but more importantly, of what your needs are. And you want to plan accordingly. So I'll give you an example, and I'd love a show of hands, your electronic hand I can see, or just the show of hands. How many of you ladies are using a CRM? Okay, there we go. So we got some CRM users, right? Okay. And how many of you are using productivity software like either Microsoft or the Google Workspace? What about financial software like QuickBooks or exactly, right? So as you can see, just in dealing with the pillars of business, operations, finance, human resources, personnel, marketing, business development, we're seeing this theme of an application for each of those silos. That's not terrible, but what you want to make sure is that they're talking to each other, that they're interfacing, right? And that usually doesn't happen because what happens? Oh, your girlfriend says, oh, we're using Sugar CRM, and you go get it because they got a free trial. So you go get it and, oh, hey, this is pretty cool. And then you decide that it doesn't give you what you need. Now you go on the hunt again, and now you acquire yet another CRM. And now you're trying to figure out how to get the information from one over to the other. I see you doing this, Tamara, right? So I'm speaking your language, right? So the way to avoid that is, even if you're already there, is just take a moment, take a step back, and take an assessment of what you actually need. Then target your search for that. There are those trials out there. You might have to try 2 or 3, but really, why not use your network? Reach out to NAWBO, find out if there are other women that are using the software that you are thinking about using. So that would be a really, really great resource for you so that you can learn from others' mistakes and, hit the ground running. The other one is implementation and deployment. This is extremely important. Most of us implement by buying the license or downloading the trial, and we just start using it, right? We never really took the time to map what we got from our assessment to the actual tool. And what happens there is we might not be utilizing the tool for its full potential, and that tends to lead to where we get another tool because we're not fully maximizing what we have. So my goal is not necessarily to tell you use this versus that, but it's to say to do that assessment and then to create an implementation and deployment guide. Now, if you're just listening to it, it might sound like, oh my God, that's a lot, but it doesn't have to be. You really can simplify this by making a list of, for example, your top 3. What are the top 3 things that I need to accomplish in marketing to be successful? And then look at the different marketing packages out there. Does it meet those 3? And are there any additional things that it can do? And in the end, what you'll come up with is more or less a technology roadmap. I suggest for growth and for scaling, if your business is very successful or you're on the road to very successful, it's also a really good idea to start building a team of experts. One of those teams of persons might be a financial advisor. A lot of folks will have a financial advisor. They might have a business mentor or tutor, but maybe not an IT mentor or tutor. So that's also something to look into. Maybe you don't need a full-on IT company to do a lot for you just yet. But again, you can reach out to NAWBO-SF and find out who's doing what. And then I'm here as a resource as well. I would love it if anyone, feel free to just reach out to me and, let's take 15 minutes. Let's share coffee. Let's talk about it. I'd love to be able to assist with that sort of growth. And then finally, you have to continually and iteratively evaluate and optimize. You can't just throw something in and because it worked last year, it's going to work this year. So it's a continual process of evaluating what you have, evaluating whether or not it's actually serving your needs, optimizing it. And if it doesn't work, create a plan for moving to another platform. Now, that being said, I will share perhaps some of the applications that I find are underutilized and that I think if you're using these, you're already on a good path. And I will say that Microsoft 365 does have a very, very good ecosystem. Very, very good. Because they're buying up these smaller companies that had really good software and they're making it their own. It isn't foolproof, but it is getting a lot better. So if you have Microsoft 365, there are some tools that you may or may not know are in that package that you can use for free. How many of you use Microsoft Project or big, heavy project management software? I don't know if anybody is doing a lot of project-based. Anybody by show of hands? Okay. It's expensive. But if you need project management software, Microsoft has something called Planner, and it's free. It's built into the package. So my advice again would just be to look at what you have currently and take an analysis of what you currently have. And just one other thing that I would like to say is to make sure that, and I can see now that I'm missing a slide, Erica. I had a slide with the top 3 things to basically to cure these issues, but here are the top 3. Cybersecurity is extremely important, ladies. I really can't emphasize it enough. I get calls from small onesies, twosies all the time who are saying to me, my computer is doing something very, very strange. What's going on? They're in the active process of being hacked. Or I had my files on my thumb drive and my thumb drive has died. What do I do? There is no backup in place. Or just how do we do certain things? So I would say cybersecurity, have a business continuity plan. It can be very simple. but write out, what would you do in case of an earthquake? Will your business survive? If your business doesn't survive, if your laptop gets crushed, are you able to go somewhere else and continue your business? So moving towards the cloud is going to help in a lot of those things. A lot of us like our data perhaps on the computer, but I would say think about cloud transformation, digitally transform your business so that the majority of it lives in the cloud and you can do business from anywhere. And that's really it. Those are kind of my tips for the day. And I think we can open it up for questions and answers. If anyone has any questions, I am.
I have a quick
happy to try to
question.
answer. Please do.
So, it's funny because I was listening to you talk about all the security stuff and I'm sitting there going, everything I have is on the cloud. I wonder if that's stupid. So thank you for that because it really made me feel better. But
Yes.
is there any concern about leaving stuff in the cloud? Like I'm hyper organized. I kind of like to know where everything is, but I always worry, should I be doing an additional hard drive backup on my stuff because it's in the cloud? If anything ever happens, is that a
That's
good thing to
a
do?
really, really good question. And I'm really glad you said that. Let me ask you this. So when you say it's in the cloud, what are we talking about?
So right now, most of my content's in like a Microsoft, like, Google Docs, that kind of stuff. A lot of my stuff is, I work in more of a psychology world. So
Mhm.
I also have a lot of platforms that I have to use that are compliant with certain regulations, HIPAA regulations. So, everything's kind of falling into that category where it's also out there in that format it's in the cloud. And so I always concern myself because I'm dealing with people's private information.
Yes.
So that's
Well, I
why.
think that's a great question, Tamara. Let me ask you this. The information that you have either in Google or in your Microsoft, does any of that contain any private information?
No, I have to keep that inside certain
Okay.
regulations for
Okay.
HIPAA compliancy. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Very
Yeah.
good. Okay. So here's my then question. Are you backing up your Microsoft data and Google data?
I am right now. I'm in the habit. And I think this is why a lot of people think I'm nuts, but I have a tendency, like I do a lot of content creation. So I will
Mhm.
store it in one place and then I'll also save it onto my hard drives.
Okay. No, that's
So
that's
an
not
external
terrible.
hard drive, just because I'm one of those people like, if I can't find it, at least I know I can always go back to this place and find it immediately.
Okay. So thanks for sharing that with me. So to answer your question, um, that is good, but it's manual, right? And so we live in the day of automating things, right? That really is one of the areas that would help a business to advance is trying to automate as many of your processes. So just so you know, Microsoft is not backing up or protecting your data, and neither is Google. If they lose a server and the server that they lose is the one that had your data on it, goodbye data. They might get that equipment back and they might be able to recover some data, but they won't recover it and restore to you. So it would be very, very good to have a backup system. One of the systems that we suggest to our customers, so the way we work with clients is basically we give them a package. And in that package, you get cybersecurity, you get email protection, you get data backup and restore, you get technical support, right? It's like a one size fits all in terms of the pricing. And that data is backed up in data centers on both the East and West Coast. If something comes and takes out New York, it's okay because California is probably still standing, right? And if something happens in California, we can go to New York. So in a disaster type of an event, within 30 minutes or less, we can have your data back, we can have you back up and running, and you can continue your business. So backing it up on the physical drive, I get that, I really do, but you want to have something that is constantly backing up that data in the cloud so that you can restore it back to the cloud. So I'm hoping that answered your question.
That was perfect because what my fear was that it wasn't being backed up, like when you just said about Microsoft and all that. I was like, how could they possibly? So thank you
Yes.
for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a big myth because a lot of people actually think that Microsoft is taking care of that. You think, well, it's Microsoft, surely they have it backed up, but not on a personal level. They do, but not for the customers. Great question. Thank you. Any other questions? Any other insights? Anybody else want to share anything?
Well,
I put this question into chat,
Okay.
whereby being a solopreneur is having Trend Micro as my antivirus and whatever I said, now I can't remember, other backup systems and an external that is automatic. Is what else do I really need?
So here's what I would say to that. So Trend Micro is your antivirus. Is that giving you, that's antivirus. But what about endpoint protection? So let me just explain that.
I have
So,
that through Bluehost.
okay. So Bluehost is doing endpoint protection. Are they your, if there is an incident, of course, that you can't see, but something happening on your computer, will they respond to that incident for you? Are they your incident response team? If there is an intrusion, if there is something that is going wrong, are they basically on the team and they would contact you and say, hi, Cindy, we see this happening, and this is the action that needs to be taken?
Don't know, because it, knock on wood, hasn't happened.
Okay.
Mhm.
And that is, this is what I say to folks. I'm glad you mentioned that. So the amount of, I did have a slide for that, but I can see that I forgot to put it in, but $1.5 billion per year is lost by businesses who have some level of intrusion. If you are not able to, so your data, for example, on your external drive, if it's up to date and it's automatically backed up, great. You'd be able to get to that data possibly. But if it's connected to your systems and they get into your system, they've got your computer, they have got your external drive. Basically, they can get to anything. So having an automated backup would be a really good idea, so that it's backing the data up from the cloud and not once it hits your machine, if that makes sense. Okay.
Well, I
great.
do get monthly notices that Bluehost backs up my website, and my webmaster says he backs up my website as well. But
Yes.
as you say, I've never had the occasion to actually know for sure. So
Right. And I'm glad you mentioned that. So Bluehost, I'm sorry, because I was thinking to myself as you were saying, I'm thinking Bluehost is a website host. So yes, Bluehost probably has that maintained. But it's a good idea to test your backups. If you are doing your own local backups, it's a good idea to test it. So if something were to happen, do you know how to restore that data to the device? That'd be something to take a little bit of time to look into. So that way, if you ever do need it, you're not trying to figure it out on the fly at that time.
thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. You are welcome. Excellent. Beautiful.
Hi,
well,
Dina. So I have one quick question.
Please.
So criminals are getting more and more savvy in what they do. So what are some of the common threats and trends that are occurring in our industry, and how do we identify that we are under we have to do something about it?
That is a very good question. And the answer that I'm going to give you, just realize it's with love, but this is what I do, right? So I'll tell you what you can see. You might be browsing, doing something on the internet, and a pop-up comes up and it says to you, warning from Microsoft, if you're a Microsoft user, or warning from Apple, your computer has been compromised. Click here and we'll fix it for you. If you see that message, you've already been compromised. You've already been compromised. So what do? Well, you definitely don't want to click anywhere on that screen. You don't want to click the X button to try to exit. The X button lets them into your computer. So at that point, you turn the computer off and then you call me. but you definitely turn the computer off. That will be enough of a break so that the bad guys can't go any further. But when you do turn your computer back on, at that point, especially if you were using a browser, you need to clear all of the cache in your browser, empty out everything so that you're not leaving a footprint. and they can't get back in. Now, they might try again, especially if it was easy for them to get in the first time. They're going to keep trying. But if you have, for example, endpoint protection software, and that isn't the same as antivirus, that endpoint protection software can be set up with rules that basically can take a variety of actions. It can send an email that says, this is what's happening. But the way that software really works is it works behind the scenes, and it's reading not what you're seeing on your screen, it's reading the files of your computer constantly. And our team, we're basically sitting behind monitors all day long, and that data from our clients is coming in on the screen. And if there's something that needs to be flagged, we see it. And then we can automatically send a cure. You may never see it happen. We're not connected to the computer, but we can send the cure for that. So that's one thing. Just keep your eyes and ears open. If anything's happening weird on your screen, if your mouse starts moving, turn the computer off. Don't hesitate. Just turn it off. And some of the trends are, I don't have statistical data to share with you here today, but one of the trends is that smaller businesses are being breached. I mean, we are armed to the teeth. We're armed to the teeth here. And sometimes even on our browsers, we'll get a little pop-up. Well, we have software that basically takes that and neutralizes that. But I might have lost track of your question. Let me know if I missed anything there, Claudine. But it was a great question. If you're speaking, you're muted, so I'm not sure if you were. Okay. And I just want to share this with you, Tamara. So it's been a long time since I've done like a webinar. So I'm super excited that it wasn't a huge room, but I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that I had my NAWBO sisters here to cheer me on and ask me great questions.
You did awesome.
Right?
You were phenomenal.
So that I can make it better. But
oh, you did great. And actually,
thank you.
So I'm not I do a lot of presentations via slide webinars, all that stuff. And sometimes it's better not to have so many slides because, but there's a dance in there, but yeah,
Yes.
It was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
I
So
took
there's my
over,
contact
Dana.
information.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, I did. I put up the slide we have about 5 minutes
Yes,
left.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you, Dana. You are a well of information, and also like put the fear of God in me that I'm like, oh, good God, I haven't done so many of things. So I think that's a thank you. So your time and your wisdom is much appreciated. And just sharing with the rest of the group is that our next meeting we have lined up is on May 16th. And it's focused on mental health. We're having a member, Sheila, come in, who's an occupational therapist and a creative integrative medicinal or mental health professional. Sorry, my screen was a little over. And she's going to take a look at how to help us manage stress, not only in our work, but also just in our lives in general. So I wanted to give a plug and have you guys pencil that into your calendars. And then the last thing I have is if you can stay a few more minutes, we can continue questions for Dana, or you can pick up some of the conversations that you had in making those connections, or even share a resource or an event that you know of that could perhaps benefit or help the group. And my last little plug is, if you're a member and interested in being a guest, like Tamara, it'd be wonderful to have you as a guest and, helping us just to, as a business owner, manage, our own inner chaos to show up steady. That would be fabulous. And there's my email. Otherwise, I'm just going to stop talking and open it up for us to allow this to be whatever it needs to be the last few minutes together. So this is when you can unmute yourself.
So I was just going to say thank you so much. Personally, this is my first meeting within the organization, so thank you so much for a warm welcome and getting a chance to meet all of you out in California and wherever else you're at. But thank you so much for that. And I do find it really exciting and kind of, like you said earlier, nerve-wracking to really recognize how much I am not protected in my security systems. So thank you for the eye opener.
Yeah, and Dana, I saw you dropped in the chat and wanted to just broadcast that is your generous offer to provide a month free of your IT services. And so that's super kind of you. So if that provides any relief to anyone here, then you may want to take her up on that.
Yes. And I will offer this. I saw in the chat that Cindy posted about using the Geek Squad to do like monthly service. I will tell you, they have men and women working at the Geek Squad, but I will say, Cindy, that they tend to be really, really expensive. I don't know what you are paying for that monthly, but your monthly service, if you are doing a monthly service, really all of the things that I included, the automated patching and management of your computer, the unlimited technical support, the endpoint protection, which includes antivirus, the data backup, the Microsoft 365 governance, that money that you're spending with them, it should cover all of that. If it's not, let's chat.
Thank you.
Yes.
Wonderful. Does anyone want to share just something? And I actually had a question, Tamara, in the chat coming from the Making the Connections. You had referenced SM.
Social media.
Oh,
Sorry. I was trying to type as fast as I could to get like listen, and so I was laughing.
Oh,
yeah, social media.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. You know, I wasn't in any one room, but I will share what I wish I had known or did
yeah.
was the one, there was one year, it was like my record year there, and I was, you know, just in it. I was loving it. It was so great. And it just felt like I arrived, but I forgot to do the estimated taxes. And then the next year I got the big fat tax bill and I was livid. Like I was just so annoyed. I had automated my estimated quarterly taxes and I didn't adjust. So yes, I want to go back there and take my learning with me.
That's great.
Yes. I know, Claudine, you need to drop. If anyone needs to go at the top of the hour, please, by all means. And I'll stay on for a couple more minutes.
I'd like to thank Dana for this wonderful session. It was so
Really
informational. And I think it really hits the point we all need to know as small business owners, because a lot of the times issues such as this technology is on the back burner. Like you say, we only think about, you know, what's coming in and what's going out in terms of dollar signs for our business. We never really think about, you know, this you know, issues that could impact the sustainability of our business. So I think I appreciate that very much. And thank you so much for laying it out so easily, you know, digestible for all of us.
Thank you.
I agree. I really enjoyed this. I mean, great reminders, you know, that's the thing, is that when you're in business for a long time, as you were mentioning, you're set in your ways and certain ways of doing things. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. So this was great.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay. Bye, Claudine.
Yes.
See you.
Yes. So,
Okay.
oh, please go ahead. I don't want to interrupt. Oh,
I
anyways.
was just waving.
Oh, okay. Tamara, for those that can stay, we can do a quick little intro.
That'd be awesome.
Okay. So you met Dana.
Yes.
So meet Cindy, sorry.
See, we just had this conversation. I love this.
Well, actually, I was fortunate enough to be paired with Tamara. So yes, we had that conversation about how on the board everybody gets me and Sydney mixed up, and it's a common mistake. I've had it all my life. But as you all know, I have a business called Advanced Etiquette that I rebirthed last year, and now I'm into my second year, which is really terrific. But it is time with Dana's information that when you start out, you don't think about all the cybersecurity and all that. But as you continue to grow, yes, this does become more and more important. That I loved her chart where it said 25% should be for cyber, 10% should be your web person. Mine's totally flip-flopped. I would say I do 25% more with him and 10% with the cyber. So that was an eye-opener. So thank you. But
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the rest of you kind of know what I do because I shared it with Tamara already.
Yes. Wonderful. And Suzanne, I know you touched on it briefly, but she is the glue of what keeps our board together and just the silent rainmaker.
Absolutely.
Yes. And then
Is it possible to participate in your group? I know I'm not necessarily looking at, was asked if I could, if I was moving up more in Northern California, or does it really matter that much? Or is it just get your food where you can kind of thing?
yeah,
Actually, once you are a member, you can go to any chapter anywhere in the world
Oh, I love that.
and get in as on the member rate and enjoy.
Yeah.
Because I've done it. I've been to many chapter meetings throughout the US.
Yeah, my clientele's all over the world. So I just love like just even networking in general. So it's kind of fun just to hear what other people are doing and how they're coexisting throughout this craziness that we got going on.
yes, for sure.
I just want to say, Tamara, I love your energy.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm a little bit of a spaz.
The kind of members we want.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't sit back. I'm not a wallflower by any means.
Nice.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Tamara, how'd you find us? I'm so curious.
Okay, so my first meeting was about a year ago when I was working for a leadership organization. I invented their leadership program. Believe it or not, they're a leadership company who didn't have a leadership program, which was really kind of crazy. So I literally was building the plane as I was flying it. It was a kind of a crazy experience. But one time I was asked to come and just sit in. The salesperson was coming to an event. She asked me to come along and just kind of share what I was doing because I didn't quite understand it. And so I did. And during that event, the girls were having a hard time setting up the stage and getting everything to work. And I came right in going, I kind of speak a lot on stage. Is it okay if I share with you guys what I would do in this situation? And they're like, please do. I'm like, okay. So I jumped in then and just loved how warm and inviting they were then. And I had literally just didn't even reach out or think about doing it. I went back out on my own about a year ago doing more of behavior development and mental health. And found myself back in a space where I was kind of, the reason I stopped doing it was because I was alone. I'm as you can tell, very social person. And so always being by yourself is kind of like torture. So even though I see clients every day, it's not quite same. I need a mentor sometimes for me to be inspired by. And so I just was invited I think it was Monday or Tuesday to an event that was going on about observing the board and all of the new positions, because I guess they're voting new candidates in. And so I was asked to show up for that, and I did. And I'm like, where do I sign up? Because I want to be a part of the board. I want to do stuff. So it was kind of fun. So, and they actually mentioned at that time they had networking opportunities I'm sorry, not networking. I'm sorry, mentor opportunities. So I was very excited to hear that because that's exactly what I was hunting for. So yeah. So I joined up that same, like literally within that hour, started all over again. So very exciting.
Oh, that's
Thank
you for
awesome.
sharing that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's incredibly awesome. And I echo what Dana said, that just your energies and contagious. So
thank you.
yes. Well,
Well,
welcome to our group. And we're so happy to have you. I know I did see Suzanne. Thank you for noting the link to upcoming events. So then, yeah. And I think, is there any other resources or events? I think Cindy, you had mentioned.
Yeah, thank you for that. NAWBO is collaborating with the San Francisco Small Business Week festivities, And it's regrettable that you're in Arizona, but it's an in-person event on the evening of the 8th, where we're collaborating and presenting a how to be a host with the most for
Love it.
business dining. So it's helping people gain all of the skills on being a great host or a great guest through a business lunch, and you get fed a 3-course dinner. And we'll have networking and lots of fun. And we've brought it down to at-cost rates. So all of us are collaborating and just doing it at cost.
Wow.
So if you know of anybody in the San Francisco Bay Area, please, have them go. It's on the link that Suzanne posted
Perfect.
for May 8th.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
Thank
How
you.
exciting. I love that you guys are going to help educate people on how to do better, business etiquette and all that good
Thank
stuff. Because as I was sharing with you earlier, I've gone through, we used to work with Fortune 500 companies. That's what I was teaching leadership for or with. And I kind of giggled at how many times I had to tell them, you can't talk to somebody like that. It's like, but they're also construction and men. So, it's a little bit different, but there's not much etiquette, etiquette going on there. A lot of cussing. So funny.
Yes. Oh
But
my
yeah.
goodness. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Well,
Thank
thank you. Yes, thanks everybody for being here. And I hope to see you next month. Ellen, we'll be talking about mental health, and Tamara, maybe you can come in
I would
and
love
weigh
to sit
in.
on that. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that'd be fun.
Yes. Otherwise,
Okay.
have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll see you guys next month.
Perfect.
All
Bye,
right.
guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.